So this,
Because it was always going to be a Zoom thing, because I wasn't sure whether we're going to be out and about or whatever. So Rod, are you recording it now?
I've just started again, so no swearing.
Okay, right. Okay, evening everybody. So agenda, eligibility, just a quick one about eligibility for our boats in the races. The calendar, the race series, I won't go through all of that, but that's essentially the agenda that we'll run through tonight. As I said, any questions? Why has that suddenly gone back? So eligibility, as we all know, we need to have the correct insurance and lodged with Rod at the office. Also submitting our AS equipment audit. So that's Cat 6 and 5 essentially for most of our races. Cat 6 for most of the races on the flats, and 5 for passage races and two-handed. Also, man overboard procedures. As you will all know, I hope, we've now got a race officer and land officer roster, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on. But we've got our trained race officers, but we then have allocated race boats to help the race officers on each race and land officers. So I've just gone through and allocated a roster for each boat's responsibility. And then obviously all of this has got to comply with COVID. And if we all get locked down again, heaven forbid, it'll all change. So boat declaration. So Rod, do you want to talk quickly about that while you're there? Or I'm not sure whether you are still there. But this is a quick system for everybody to just submit to the office the fact that they've done all of their required documentation. So you can get that via that link, or just if you look under sailing and you look at boat owners declaration, that's one easy way of going through, and then that will be lodged back at the office. Rod, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah. So just last year, this is not still ideal, but with so much paperwork and having two staff sort of sharing all the different information, we have really a lot of trouble compiling the MOBs and the stat decks, because they're very much manual documents. So we're trying to get a document that has insurance, stat deck, and MOB that we can always continually refer to as a master base. And so this, if you can start everyone have a go at filling out this boat owner's declaration. It means that when we have to do a quick lookup, we can see where the current status of each boat. So even if you ring up or send your documents to the office, I know that I'm being, like Ross Magel was in the office today, and I've just compiled his documents, and I know that Erica will be filling it out on this as well to make sure that we keep everything in under the one database. It's one of the things we have trouble with is administering all the different documents from racing. And when Stephen Connolly says, is this boat compliant? I sort of hesitate, because I just don't know if it's compliant in all ways, and this will be a quick check for us. So that'll be good.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Rod. Calendar up on the website. Bill knows where to go now to find the real one, don't you, Bill?
Yes.
Well done. So our first race is next Thursday, the 4th of November. I'm finding out from Royals they were not going to have their Wednesday races until the 10th, but there might well be some warm-up races on Wednesday the 3rd. So I'll come back and just clarify that with everybody. I might have to just send an email out to all the race members, I think. So all the series races will start from the 1st of December. So all the races through November will just be standalone races. They won't work towards any race series as such. And then after that, we've got all our usual race series. And then I'll go through in a little bit more detail shortly, but we've got 3 single-handed races and pursuit races and all sorts of stuff. So all on the website, also all on the club calendar. That calendar also tells you the safety category that's applicable. It gives you the warning signal time for each of those races. And if it's not one of our races, if we're not hosting it, it tells you which club website to go and look to find the appropriate race documents or the race courses. So just going through the races, and again, this is stuff we've done for many years. So this year we've got 7 races, 1 drop. So there's 3 passage races, So essentially, they're the three races out of the John Nielsen series. We've got two two-handed races, and there's two short laid courses. I think that, can't remember which club's running that one now, but that might be a Royals race, I think. And as you can see there's a lot of trophies that are applicable to all of those races. And that club calendar that we just previously looked at allocates, you can see which races, which trophies are allocated to which particular race. So hopefully that's very good. And Tim, your boat's looking beautiful there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's when the sail was new, I think.
The sail was new. We hope you've looked after it. So new this year, our is a single-handed series. And there's probably a slab of beer available for anybody who can tell me how many sunglasses Tim Ford's jammed into his black bottle trophy from many years ago. But anyway, three races, two races that we will run. They'll be sailed on the flat, so well within Hobson's Bay. Solo sailing requirements. So look at our website. We now have some fairly stringent solo sailing requirements. So PFDs obviously need to be worn. Jack lines and tethers also are required. And we've also instigated a Y flag. I know a number of the boats last year who were racing single-handedly have been racing using Y flags. Really important, I think, particularly if you're sailing on your own in a fleet, to be flying a white flag. If you're converging onto a mark and there's a bunch of other boats coming down there also, they're aware that you're on your own and might not be as quick around the mark, perhaps. And then the third race will be the Royals Black Bottle Trophy. So a spinnaker is required for the trophy, the Black Bottle Trophy, but there will be a non-spinnaker division. So our single-handed series will be three non-spinnaker races. So hopefully that makes sense, and I'll be developing the sailing instructions over the next month or so.
If you're going for the Black Bottle and flying a kite, does it mean you're not eligible for that race for the single-handed series?
Well, that's a very good question, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah.
That's a good question. We didn't talk about that at the sailing committee, did we?
No. So
no. I think if you're going for you're going to have to make a decision. I think if you're going for because I don't think we can suddenly throw in a spinnaker race.
Well, we might have to, because we're trying to get those guys to come and sail in our races. So if they're going to try, anyway, we might.
Okay, all right. Well, so we might review that and have a spinnaker division and a non-spinnaker division within the series.
Okay,
that's a relatively easy thing to do, I think. Okay, so we'll have a chat about that at the sailing committee, Tim.
Okay.
Two-handed series as usual. This year there are three races. They're all part of the club aggregate, both part of the club aggregate. Finished between the clubhouse and channel marker 20. Everybody knows that. Two trophies for the first race, Bernie Kavanagh and Jesse Cup. 18-mile course, that traditional course that we all love, safety category 5, and PDFs must be worn. So I think that's fairly straightforward. Again, summer pursuit.
No changes. Sorry to interrupt, Steve. No changes to the courses at all?
No changes to the courses. The only course changes that will happen this season will be the Wednesday twilights.
Okay, thank you.
The Wednesday twilights have had a simplified courses. We've been concerned over the last couple of years that they've been fairly complicated, hugely labour intensive, putting out all of the gates and the buoys. So there are new courses. New courses have been developed. But back to the RM Smith. So same format, 7 races in the series, a couple of trophies up for grabs. I mean, uncrowded pursuit start lines, non-spinnaker, safety category 6. Great. In fact, I don't know why I've got tumbling dice flying a spinnaker in a summer pursuit series. That's not very good, is it?
It looks awfully good though, Stone.
Well, I don't know. Did anybody disqualify you in that race?
I think all the others are flying kites as well. I think you'll notice.
It must have been. Anyway.
It was the two-handed, Stone.
Was the two-handed, was it? But anyway, the boat looks beautiful, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So here's the Wednesday nights, Wednesday twilight. So the Frank Robinson, and this year sponsored, thank you, by Mech and Air and the Office. This is a jointly run race series with Royal Yacht Club, 16 races, Same format. As I said before, we've got new courses, far simpler. But these courses also allow for commercial traffic. So we will be advising you in the middle of the day, or middle of the afternoon, I should say, if commercial traffic is envisioned coming up the channel, in which case we'll use the western side. So we'll start just to the south of Jellybrand Shoal, so that we keep everybody away from ferries and boats in the channel. So, but as I said, 12 new courses. Ray and Ian have been very generous in their time and developed all of those. So let's see how we go.
Stephen, do you want to just tell people about the Div 3 start time on that one?
Div 3 start time was that at 6 or 6:20 now?
It's going to be 18:20 for Div 3, yeah, to give Tim time to get out there.
Yeah. Tim was particularly concerned about getting out to the shoal mark. So anyway, yes. So please note in the sailing instructions, the specific start time is for the divisions.
So we'll be starting Div 1 first, then Div 2, then last Div 3.
Yeah. Thursday twilights, same format again as last year. However, this year we will have 3 races with female helm races, and that's a separate series in itself. Rain and Horn, great sponsors over the last year or so, last couple of years, I think. Again, uncrowded start lines, non-spinnaker, all of that sort of stuff, safety category 6. So please come along for that one. But we're also we've simplified that Wednesday, so we want to try and get some boats back to Wednesday as well. So we had a lot of people moving out from Wednesday to Thursday, which was a bit sad. So it'd be really great to get a few boats back into Wednesdays again if we can. Where are we? Interclub. So last year we called this the Saturday races, but Interclub races, it's a 6-race series. We basically share hosting the races between Squadron and Royals and ourselves. You can get up to about 50 boats in some of these races, so they're good fun. You can enter the series via us, and on the calendar you'll see some of them are long distance. We're hosting a couple of long distance races, and there's a couple of days where there are short laid courses. So anyway, good fun. You get back to the clubhouse pretty exhausted sometimes after those, don't you, Bill? John Nielsen, unfortunately only 3 races this year because we've got an abridged season, obviously. So we've kept Port Arlington, Mornington and St Leonard. So unfortunately, Wyndham Harbour we've had to make the tough decision to leave that out of the program. But I think Port Arlington and I think those 3 were probably the preferable races out of that series. But great.
Gail's here with you. The Commodore of Wyndham Harbour's here.
Hello, Gail. Oh, Gail. Gail, I didn't tell you the other day. Oh, I forgot to mention to you. I'm sorry.
Oh, gee, all right. We'll change our calendar.
Yes, my apologies. We've had to make a very, very tough decision.
It's all right, Gail. I'll throw him under the bus. That's not what we agreed to either, so don't worry. It was.
Yes, it was.
I love Wyndham Harbour. It's a great place.
Oh, get out of here.
Oh.
So cruisers are encouraged. After most of those races, certainly those 3, most boats, well, not most, some boats stay overnight and have a really good time and having a meal together and that sort of stuff. So, and then sail back the next day. So it would be really great to try and get some other cruisers to come down and follow the fleet if possible. So, but anyway, yes, 3 races this year. Just quickly, special regulations. I'm sure you've all got this under your pillows at night and you would read it, particularly at the start of every season, particularly around, you just got to check your safety categories, that 5 and 6 that you're nominating your boat for. And it's also a great guide for any keelboat user and for cruising groups, cruising boats, I should say. It's all available on the website, also from Australian sailing, from the Australian Sailing website also. But a very, very important document. And it's interesting, Royals today, I've got a notice of race from Royals. Their afternoon races, they're moving towards getting each boat's audited. So not a self-audit, an actual audit by an auditor. So that is coming in, and that will come in next year, as I understand it, as a regulation from Australian Sailing. There are we've got 4 auditors in the club. Myself with Andrew Blackstock, Craig Jackson, and Rob. You're an auditor also, aren't you, Rob Tanner?
Yeah, I'm a national auditor, and there's a couple of other national auditors as well. So we do Cat 1, 2, 3. You guys do 4, 5, 6.
So you don't worry with the Cat 5 and 6s, Rob.
I've never done one.
Never done one. Woof. Well, we're going to check your boat shortly, aren't we?
Oh, well, we're going to try and this weekend do boat checks down at Wyndham. We'd like to get to the point where we can be audited.
Okay, great.
So I'll be in touch.
Okay, no worries. We can talk. So ORC Club. So as you probably all know from the e-news, we previously have run with IRC and AMS. A lot of boats dropping off from IRC. So the club, as with most keelboat clubs around the bay, have opted to run with ORC Club. You also need ORC Club to sail in the Range Series or the Port Phillip Women.
I'm looking at it now.
And in actual fact, they need to be an endorsed certificate. So what that means is that you need to have your certificate prepared by a measurer. So Joe in the club or John Duffin over at Royals can help you in that regard. I think we've got a couple of boats being weighed. I think David Gaylor, you're getting your boat weighed and it's all measured. Aston, you've got your boat weighed and measured. I've got mine underway. And so what you get out of that is that's a copy of a certificate for that's a Sydney 32, but it gives you boat velocity, so it gives you polars. So there's certainly some benefit in getting some of this stuff. But anyway, if anybody's got any questions, come back to me. I can explain a little bit more if you're lost in that regard. Race documents, same as last year, but you better reread them because there are a couple of little things. It refers back to the sailing calendar. The notice of race talks about the entry cut-off time. We do have a cut-off time for races because we do need to have time to process entries through Top Yacht, but also if the handicapper needs to review any handicaps, we do need to have time to do that. So if boats come in at a late entry, that can be quite difficult to control. Single-handed sailing requirements are called up in the notice of race, MOB requirements, sail pass, and this year you will have all noticed we've got mandatory race officer and land officer duties that I think I mentioned previously.
Stephen, just the picture you've got is the old notice of race from last year, just to make sure.
Oh, it is too. Well, good pickup, Rod. Well done. Thank you. Gee, that's a slip. And then appendices. So again, as last year. So two-page notice of race, 2-page sailing instructions, then a list of appendices that give you specific instructions around a specific race or series. Also gives you mark locations and so on.
Steve, channel 69 or 72 or something different?
No, 69, same thing, thing. But thank you. That's a very that's an introduction into the one thing in the race documents is radio communication. And last year there was a little bit of confusion between people calling race control and trying to get hold of the start boat and also trying to get hold of the office or the race room. So we have instituted 2 new names. So the committee boat, start boat, will be called Hobson's Bay Race Control. But if, for instance, on a 2-handed race and you're calling Hobson's Bay the base as you're coming close to the breakwater, you call Hobson's Bay base. So that's specific instructions around the radio communication that is in there. So hopefully that's clear, and I guess that'll take a little while as we come to grips with it. Crew decks, everybody I think is across that. I think by the end of last season we had 100% compliance. The only thing that has changed this year is that the number has changed for the login. So you'll need to, and I've put this all on the website and I've updated the how to do document, but it needs to end with 1480 for you to link into this season's race series. You also need to have entered a race series for it to work. So you enter a race series and then you connect in your crew declaration. The other thing that was happening is a lot of people were putting in their crew declarations, in some cases a week before the race. Unfortunately, Top Yacht doesn't register that. It only registers any crew declaration made after midnight on the day of the race. So that's fairly critical. So that was a learning for all of us, where people had said they'd completed it, and then all of a sudden we realised that Top Yacht wasn't recognising it. So again, I've got a to-do document on the website. So, but the most important thing is you need to insert that new number, that 1480, that will connect you back to this season's Top Yacht results. Man overboard, again, mandatory as per the notice of race. We've got our annual MOB session. I think that's in a couple of weeks. Usual procedures. Bob's sitting in the cupboard waiting for everybody to get in touch with him. Highly important that we need to do it all. I think Reflection did that last night, Gail, did you not?
No, we didn't in the end.
Oh, you didn't? Oops, whoops,
We didn't have the dummy.
Okay, all right. But anyway, a really good thing to do, because Bob's can be pretty heavy when you start to pull him in. So it does adjust your thinking around how you're going to bring people onto your boat. Solo sailing, as we mentioned, we've got those 3 new races coming up. So if people are solo sailing, and even if they're going to solo sail in any particular race, we need them to advise race control that of their intention to race on their own. We mandate that you need to be able to get to your radio without leaving the helm. So in some cases, that might mean you've got to have a mobile, handheld radio with you. Please sign off at the end so that we're not looking for you, so we can tick everybody off. Because race control will be standing by until all yachts are accounted for. Y flag we've talked about, and we've talked about wearing PFDs and tethers. And the first to notice the picture that I put up is not a single-handed. He's suddenly discovered another person on that boat the other day. Anyway, hopefully that's all clear. Race officers. So again, this year, so we felt the general feeling that a lot of all the same people were being race officer assistants and land officers over the last couple of years. So
Stephen, just a quick question. Rob Tanner said, where do you get the Y flags from?
If you let us know, we've got some on the way. And Rod, you're going to pick some more up, aren't you?
Yep.
Yep. So Y flags are available, and they're available from the race office, Rob. Good question. Thank you.
And there's another question there, Stephen, but you might want to answer that later about COVID guidelines from Jonathan. Yeah. All
right. We'll come back to that. Yes. Good point, Jonathan. Thank you. So race and land officers, assistance with race officers to be provided by each boat. There is a published roster on the club website. In this last e-news, I think I started to put in for the next month the boats who are on duty. So if you're a race officer assistant, the race officer will be mastering the boat, but you'll be there to assist putting the correct flags up and down and sounding the hooters and retrieving any race marks. So a really good thing to do if you are a race boat. It's a really interesting and good thing to do to assist on the start boat. Essentially, I think it's 2 or 3 races for the season, so I don't believe it's hugely onerous.
Steve, before you go on that further,
yes.
Do we get, if we're racing and then we go, I assume the boat's not allowed to race in that race?
No. So if the boat is responsible for getting somebody to help. So you could do it, or you could get someone else to do it. Okay. So the boat can still race. It doesn't necessarily mean the skipper or the crew. So you might send your crew. I know you only sailed 2 up in most cases, Graham, but you can get someone to act on your behalf.
Is Bob available that day?
I think Bob's fairly busy for most of those days, Graham, unfortunately. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Then the other responsibility is land officer. So this is a person that is available on the land, can be up in the race room, can be wandering around the club, as long as they use a handheld, and they can access the race channel and channel 16. They're really there to help the start boat, the committee boat, if there is an incident on the water. If they're trying to sort something out and we need to talk to water police, heaven forbid, all those sorts of authorities, it's the land officer really who are there to assist. They will have access to the crew declarations, so they will know who is on any particular boat and have all of the emergency contact details and all of those sorts of things. So the only thing that we ask is that person does have a VHF certificate of proficiency, because if something were to happen, you are required to man the radio, obviously. But apart from that, you're free to wander around as long as you've got access to a VHF radio. You can sit on your boat, or, as I said, there are a couple of VHF handhelds in the race room if people would like to use those. Volunteers, everyone's always welcome. Come and talk to me, come and talk to Jonathan. If anybody's keen to get involved in any of the stuff that we need to run the races. And if you do all of that, you can win that. There's the Club Aggregate Cup. So Tony Johnson, you know all about that one. Well done from last year. So I think that's it. Jonathan, have you got anything else to add?
Well, I just had my question about what does COVID compliance mean when you're on a yacht? Does the skipper have to check that all his crew's double vax, or what's our current thinking of it?
Well, I think it's up to each skipper to manage that. We can't be responsible for each boat. So I think in most cases, people have got to look after that responsibly. And it's only when you come back to the clubhouse that Rod would have requirements as per the government. Rod, that would be correct?
Yeah. So essentially, yeah, I think Australian sailing's on top of it, but essentially the club's not policing. I mean, it's always double vaccination is the health order everywhere. But in regards to boats, it's really the boat owner's responsibility to let the crew know of what their crew are, and we're not going to. There's no club rules in regards to double vaccinations.
I think Australian sailing are strongly recommending it, but they're not mandating.
Absolutely,
they're not mandating it.
Thank you.
So we're free to race. The reason we haven't been racing is that community racing wasn't allowed, so it's now allowed as from tomorrow morning. So the first race on the bay is an ocean race, ORCV race, 30-mile race on Saturday. So our first race will be the following Thursday. And as I said, I'll try to get back to everybody with regard to Royals as to what they're doing on the Wednesday, both afternoon and in the evening.
So if that Wednesday evening goes, Stephen, are we providing a start boat, or we don't know?
If Wednesday evening, I spoke to Ray today, so Ray will be manning it. I think if it's a warm-up race, we will be providing the start boat. Yes.
Shit, that means I'm land officer. Anyone want to be land officer on Wednesday?
I think everybody's feeling very safe that you're there, Jonathan.
How does the Wednesday week differ from the Wednesday following, given that there's no series till Christmas? A warm-up race, aren't they all warm-up races, essentially?
Well,
sorry, not till Christmas, till December. Till December, I mean.
Well, that's a good point. That's a very good point, Tim. I need to speak.
Are we running a race or not on Wednesday?
I need to speak to Andy about that, because he's made that decision. I only got an email this morning about that.
So Stephen, I'm not on top of this, but we're actually having a land officer for Wednesday nights now.
When we're hosting it every second week.
Is that, yeah, okay. Was not aware.
So we're sharing it with Royals. It's a jointly managed race.
But never has been. So how come we're starting that this year?
It's always been joint. It's always been jointly run.
But we never had a land officer for it. I thought it was Royals run Wednesday and we run Thursdays.
Well, no, they couldn't. They don't have the race officers to man every race. That's the trouble. So we're helping them out.
So but don't they have a land officer for Wednesday nights?
I'm not sure whether they run a land officer system over there. Rod.
They do. So I'm just wondering, are we doubling up? That's all.
All right. Well, okay. Well, let me check with Andy Warner.
We haven't had land officers for Wednesday nights last year.
I think what Stephen's saying, though, is on the Wednesday night where we're allocated as providing the start boat and the race officer, we also provide a land officer. On the alternate Wednesday nights when we're not doing the start boat and race officer, then we don't do a land officer.
We're
Correct.
punching above
No,
our
we-
weight.
yeah, if you
We're
could check
running
that,
both
Stephen.
races. We don't ask them to do Thursday nights. So that's just, I'm just surprised. Yeah, I thought it would be very even if we just said they do Wednesday nights, we do Thursday nights. And Ray Proudlock came in fantastically last year as an emergency, but it's still their responsibility, the race. I believe they're the organisers of Wednesday night races. Yeah.
No, it's a joint managed. It's a jointly managed.
Wow. So we're definitely punching above our weight. Okay. We don't ask
So
them
we,
to
so we
jointly
do
manage
all the
Thursdays.
Thursdays and half the Wednesdays.
Yes.
Wow.
Well
Okay,
done.
yeah, I didn't know that. That's I learned something tonight.
Yeah, but Rod, that Thursday nights, that's solely us.
Yeah, I didn't know
We only
ever
involved-
that we were
only
Wednesday
involved.
nights. I have never known that we were Wednesday nights. Only we were helping him out to run a start boat on Wednesday nights with Ray Proudlock last year, just to help them out. But I didn't realise it was actually a
But it's,
joint
it's
thing.
always Wednesday's always been joint,
Wow.
and
Okay.
we've run our own trophy. But I tend
Yeah,
to
we've always
agree,
run our
I
own
tend to
trophy,
agree with
they're
you that
running
they're taking, yeah, they're not taking enough responsibility.
Yeah, amazing.
I tend to agree
Okay,
with that, yeah.
interesting. Okay.
So
That's
they-
all. Sorry,
they
Stephen.
could run a-
Just, it was something that I live every day and I didn't know. Okay.
Okay.
I thought it was their responsibilities, and we were just helping them. But if it's joint,
Oh, that's
that's
what was
interesting.
all. That's what was all agreed. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it, guys. I think. Any other questions? Well, I think we're all keen to get back on the water, are we not?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Okay. If there's no other questions, that's so Rod, you've recorded that, so this will be on the website somewhere.
Do you want me to stop recording now? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.